Hello everyone and welcome. These are today's cards. We're going to be using some rub-ons that were included as part of the Weekender kit, and I'm going to bring in some panels that have just been laying around in my craft room, and we're going to put together two cards pretty quickly with these rub-ons. We're going to use the rub-ons and their sentiments, and I'm just kind of showing you some of them. We've got some really fun tropical elements here. And I'm just going to grab a couple of them and we're going to make a couple of cards. So I've got a glass that has got the bird of paradise in it. There's a cat and then there's a toucan on this particular page here. And I am cutting out Celebrate Loud and that glass with the bird of paradise florals in it. And we're going to use this for our first card. And I thought I was only going to make one, but I had so much fun, I just kept going. So here we go. I've got those die cut out with my scissors. Now here I've got a basket. You can barely see the basket, and I've got all these different white panels that have been die cut out with various dies that I have. This particular one here is the Perfect Touch Arches, and I've got actually 3 layers of it, and I'm just thinking about using it. I've got a postage edge, I've got some ovals, I've got some open lace frames, I've got a variety of things in this basket that were just laying there, and I thought I'm going to bring some of these in and use them. And here I'm just kind of showing you some of them. I've got 3 layers of this one thinking, I could do something with that. So I think that we're going to work with this on this particular card here. And we're just going to get our rub-on laid down on this Perfect Touch arch. And so I'm just going to pull it off, and I'm going to try and get it laid down somewhat center on this panel, and then we'll get to rubbing on it. Now I could not find the popsicle sticks that comes with this, so I grabbed my bone folder, and I was just checking to make sure it was lined up, and then I just went to burnishing this. And I have sped this up because I spent a good long time burnishing it because I wanted to be certain that I got every speck of it and that I didn't ruin the transfer because I think it's really beautiful. And so I'm going to grab my tweezers and give it a try, and I'm going to go at it again and just burnish a whole bunch more and just make sure I get it really nice. Now you can run these through your die cutting machine to burnish them if you want. I just didn't want to risk my messy plates making any funny marks on my panel, and so I'm just using this bone folder, and I'm just taking my time nice and slowly and pulling up the transfer tape, and it turned out beautiful. So we've got a lovely glass with it's like a cocktail with a bird of paradise in it, and then I've got Celebrate Loud, and I'm going to lay it down on the top of this if I can get it to fit. I'm cutting it down to make sure that it's going to fit on there, and it looks like it's going to work. So we'll pull it off, and we're just going to position it on here. I mean, this is some easy card making, and you get some really decent results with them. I think it turned out really lovely. So I'm just going to position this, try and get it nice and neat. You have to be careful. Don't let it lay down, because if you get it on there crooked and it sticks, you are done. And I almost did that on my next card. But anyway, back to the burnishing with the bone folder, and like I said, I sped this up because I did spend my time on this, especially on the letters, because they're so fine. You want to be really careful with them. And so I'm just trying to be real slow and careful and get them pulled up. And there we go. We've got Celebrate Loud, and I think it looks really nice on there. It's a nice start to a card. Now, I'm testing out the panels that I've got there. I want a little bit more of a frame, so I'm going to lay that one aside, and we're going to work with this one here, and we're going to back it. And what I've decided to do to keep it simple is I'm just going to bring in my sticky mat and lay it down, and I'm going to grab some of my brushes and just lay some ink down. I didn't use ink pads, I just used the ink that was left on my brushes, and I'm just kind of taking my inspiration from the colors that are in the glass, and I'm going to bring in orange and green, and I'm just using what is on the blending brushes and just kind of blending on there. And then I'm seeing a little bit of blue in this bird of paradise right there, and I'm going to bring in my blue blending brush and just kind of fill in those white spaces. I'm not worried about the center because we know our arch is going to cover that up, but we're just getting some color, just real soft color laid down on there. And this is going to be our backer panel. and we'll just give it a look. And I think it looks nice. I like it. Real super soft. And I think it looks really pretty with the rub-on. So I'm just going to lift up that mat, and then we'll get to working on this. I was thinking, let's bring in the embossing folder from the kit, and I'm going to use the edge that's showing here. It is a dual embossing folder. It's got a frame. Now I had this orange panel here. I mean, I'm just grabbing junk. And I'm going to go ahead and lay it on here, and I'm going to emboss it and see how it'll look with it. So we'll go to the embossing machine, we'll come back with a panel, and we'll give it a try. And so I've got a card base there, and I'm just going to lay this down on here, and we're just going to take a test run and see what we think. And I'm not liking it. It's got the orange in there, but it's just too much orange for the design. So I'm going to go with something different. I've got another one of those panels in green, and I'm going to try it out. So I took that green panel and I embossed it just like I did the orange one, and I'm going to try it out. I was just comparing which ones I liked, and the green certainly looked better with this, in my opinion, and so I'm going to use it on this card. And so it looks like it's going to fit on there okay. I think I might have to trim it up a little bit once I get it laid down on there, but I do like the green with just the ink blending that I've done on the back panel. And so I've got plenty of glue on here. I'm just going to get laid down on here. Got a little bit of glue in the upper corner there. I'm just going to wipe it off. Just trying to make sure I've got it lined up nice and neat. And I'm just going to trim off this one edge here so we don't have just a little bit of white peeking out there. And now we're going to get our panel laid down on there. And I mean, I'm just using things that were already laying in my craft room. I had these panels die cut out, and then I had that panel there that was remaining from a circle that I had die cut out. And so you can just pull some junk from around your room and put together some fun cards. I challenge you to do that. Just look around at some junk and see what you can stick together, and I think it's a decent card. So I'll get some glue laid down on here. I'm not going to worry about the circle that's die cut out on there just because I've got 2 layers going here. I think it'll be solid enough and it'll be fine. We're just going to get that laid down on here. Giving it a good press, and I'm going to bring in my gems. I did find my gems from this kit. I had lost them the other day, and I've got something on here, just a speck. And so I'm going to bring in my eraser and see if I can erase it off. And I couldn't, so I'm just going to take one of these small gems and cover it up, and then we'll put a couple more gems on there and just add a little black to it. And I think it's super fun. This could be used for a birthday card. It says celebrate loud, and it looks like a cocktail drink, so I think you could use it for a birthday celebration card. So I think it turned out really nice, and I was going to stop there, and then I decided let's go again. And I've got this oval panel that was laying in there, and I'm thinking, let's use the Bird of Paradise floral rub-on for this. I think it'll fit on there nicely because it's oval, and it seems like it's the right shape for this. So I'm just going to cut this out. And we'll just trim away, trying to be really careful so I don't mess up the other rub-ons. And I almost messed up that green one there, but I realized I was underneath it, so I moved it. And then I'm going to use this Wildly Thankful for this sentiment, so I'm cutting it off right here. Well, I don't know. Maybe I just laid it aside and I'll come back to it. But go to check and make sure this will fit on here. So I'm just eyeballing it. And we're going to get it laid down on here. And I'm going to try and line it up. And then I'm like, use your grid on your mat. Get your panel straight. And then get your rub-on laid on there, and it'll be a little bit straighter. I tried to do the bottom of the stem on the line and then just let it kind of go from there. I'm going to give it a good press. I'm speeding it up tremendously and hitting it really well, trying to get it all up. It did lift a little bit on me, and I was like, uh-oh. And so I'm really focusing on that area, but it's going to work out okay. And I'll just keep going and press, press, press. These have some really fine tips on these leaves, so I want to make sure I get those really well. Here's where I'm covering them again and just trying to make sure I'm getting everything really well so that I don't mess it up. And it does come off cleanly after I do a lot of pressing on it. If you just take your time, it's super fun because you have a fantastic design with really minimal effort apart from just kind of rubbing them. So I'm just going to lift this off of there, and we've got a beautiful bird of paradise flower on this scalloped oval. And I've got that orange panel that I had already embossed from the previous card, and we're going to use it on this. So here's where I'm grabbing that Wildly Thankful, and I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do with it. I know that I need to back it because I don't want white on white, and I don't just want to rub it in on the white. So I'm going to go off camera, grab some more of that orange cardstock that I've got there, and we'll lay it down. And here is where I almost, not here, but I'll move it closer to me so I can see what I'm doing. And look at that. It almost got stuck on there. But off camera, I'm able to lift it up and get it laid back down on there. And you got to be careful because if it had stuck, it would have ruined the sentiment. But fortunately, it hadn't. I didn't press it. It just kind of lightly laid on there. And I was able to pick it up and then move it to where I wanted it. And then get it laid down on there. So I'm just carefully, and I could tell my L didn't stick. So I went back down with my bone folder, gave it another press. And there we go. We got it all on there. Now this is too big, so I'm just going to bring in my trimmer and trim it up and try to make it a little bit smaller so it doesn't look so large on my panel. I don't want the sentiment to be that large. So we'll just trim it down until I get it where I want it. And then we have got another card and a sentiment to go along with it. And this could be a thank you card for somebody. And I don't know if you can hear, but we're having a storm, and it is raining, raining, raining. It's been raining all afternoon. So I'm just considering, do I want to cut it down anymore? And I'm like, nope, just go for it. So I'm laying some foam tape on here, and then I'm realizing, I just put my hand on there because I'm like, you haven't glued that down yet. So I was just making sure before I laid the sentiment down. And I've got some foam tape on there. And then I've got that hole in there, and I've just got one panel. Oh, first I'm going to ink it up. I decided we're going to do the same thing and add some ink. And at first I thought I just wanted to get the edges, so I'm just kind of holding it and laying some ink down on there. And I'm getting green all over my fingers. And then I'll decide I want a little bit more color on here. And so then I'll lay it down on my glass mat, and we'll get to blending a little bit more. This is where I'm like, oh, more ink. And I'm kind of at the bottom of the camera. Sorry about that. So we'll just spin this around and just add some more ink and try to make it a little bit darker around the edges there and cover a little bit more of it. It looks nice. Now I'm going to have to go off camera, wash my hands, and clean my desk off. And then I'm going to come back in and just get to assembling this card. Now I've got a top folding card base for this one. The other one was a side folding. And I'm going to test it first and see if it's going to fit, and then trim it down before I glue my panel. It's easier that way. And so now we'll get the orange panel laid down, and I am kind of on the bottom of my screen there, but we'll get it laid down, and hopefully I'll get back in frame so you can see what I'm doing. Just try and get it lined up nice and neat. And I've got that circle there, and I've just got one layer with this panel here, and so I'm going to bring in the rest, some more of that foam tape. I thought I'd use it all up on here, but I didn't. And we'll get plenty of foam tape on there, and then that will help to level it up, and we won't have any worry about sagging on there. I'm just going to get it positioned, press it down, and then we're going to bring in our Wildly Thankful sentiment, which I've got the foam on the back of it, so we've got a little pop-up on it as well. And then I'm going to bring my gems back in, and we're going to get some gems laid down on here. And I'm just going to put 3 down here above my sentiment. And then I'm going to go across to the other side and add a couple more. And I'm just using the teeny tiny ones. I love these tiny gems. Just put them over there. And I'm going to put a second one. And that's going to finish off our second card. So we've got 2 great cards using rub-ons and some junk that I've had in my craft room. Here's a couple pictures you can check out. If you like the video, hit the like, and if you haven't subscribed, I'd love to have you subscribe. Thanks for watching. Here's a couple more videos you might be interested in.